Are you ready to take your physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being into your own hands? This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV, and this week my special guest is medical intuitive Katie Beecher. It all starts right here, right now on Guys TV. You can also catch me on KCAA Radio in Southern California and Guys Radio, my worldwide podcast. Guys TV, Guys Radio, thanks for your support. Okay, today we're going to talk about medical and emotional intuitive readings with one of the world's foremost experts in the field. Katie Beecher, MS LPC, is a licensed professional counselor in medical and emotional intuitive. She's got over 30 years experience. Her unique way of working with clients includes creating detailed individual physical, emotional, and spiritual report with an intuitive painting using only the name and age. It's amazing work that she does. She also utilizes Jungian psychology in her sessions, which she initially learned during her recovery from her own issues of severe eating disorder and depression. She's been recovered for over 30 years and working with people and really helping so many people around the world. A reading with Katie typically involves around chakra imbalances, and we're going to talk about chakras today, and results in symptoms. Before a reading, Katie emails over an eerily accurate document and painting, which illustrates exactly what's going on with your body, and then talks you through what she finds with concrete steps and next steps, including what vitamins to take, supplements, and any tests that you might want to get from your doctor. Her readings have a heavy dose of spiritual insight too, which goes straight to your emotional life. Of note, she's been featured all over the media, and particularly Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop. She's got a BS in biology, psychology, so much more. And we're going to talk about her book today. It's a beautiful book called Healing from Within, A Guide to Intuitive Wellness, which has all the information about the work she does, her own personal story, and how you can actually kind of work on yourself and even do an intuitive painting. So welcome to Guys Radio. Katie Beecher, I'm so happy that you're here with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
My pleasure. So as a way of introduction, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your own personal story and your journey, and what led you to become a medical, emotional intuitive?
Sure. So like a lot of people who do similar work, I've always felt like I could communicate with the other side. I've always been very empathic, able to pick up other people's energies and really sensitive. And when you're a kid and you're picking up personalities from the other side, from, that you can't see necessarily, it's really terrifying. So I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't have a lot of people to talk to about it. And as a result of bullying and a dysfunctional family, I developed a pretty severe eating disorder like you talked about. Well, that was one of the best things that ever could have happened to me, because when I was 16, without telling my parents, I called our pediatrician and told them what I was doing. And I had a car and a job, and I just went to therapy. My parents didn't come. And I started working really hard on myself and happened to work with a therapist who was very spiritually minded. So this person really encouraged my weird little abilities, helped me understand them, helped me use them, helped me connect to my intuition, and lots of other things. A lot of those same techniques I teach in my book and to my clients. And that sort of set me on the road to knowing that I wanted to be a therapist and intuitive and use my abilities to help people.
It's an amazing story. I've interviewed lots of folks and with some similar intuitive abilities on the show, and it seems like a lot of them, they found out about their gift, if you will, as a child, and they kind of pushed it away, and then years later it came back in full force. Was that kind of the sequence for yourself, Katie?
I know that I definitely pushed it away because I was fearful of it. And I felt like I was picking up a lot of negative energy and negative spirits. So I didn't want anything to do with it. And once I learned I didn't have to be afraid of it, and that it was actually teaching me things, like the eating disorder was a really good thing. And I learned to befriend it and talk to it using my intuitive and psychic abilities. And it has just kept growing over time the more I practice and use it.
Now, as a medical intuitive, how does your gift differ from other folks who are like psychics or intuitives?
Sure.
And how did you realize that your special gift is focused on helping people's well-being and their health and their welfare?
That's a really great question. So my approach is very holistic. So it's body, mind, and spirit. So it's really the entire person. Um, I did a little mini reading on you, and you saw a little bit of the things I do. And it really does get into trying to focus on people's strengths, but also all of the possible root causes for things that are going on in their lives. And because of maybe my therapy background, I'm a licensed counselor, I really wanted to keep it kind of as non-woo-woo as possible. So be as factual as I can. We're not allowed to diagnose, and that's also unethical. So that's not something I do, but I will identify different symptoms and help people find all kinds of solutions, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual. I work with other health practitioners, refer to other people. And so I think the way that I think about psychics is it's more like predicting the future kind of stuff. And while I can help guide people in their future life for sure, I really try to be more objective about it, if you will, as objective as you can be talking to guides and dead people. But I try to give, real life solutions that they can use today and tools moving forward, as well as helping them tap into their own intuition. I don't want anybody dependent on me or substituting my intuition for theirs. It's really, my guides are, incredibly right and everything, but if I'm really doing people a service, I'm helping them strengthen their abilities and find self-love.
I've got so many questions. My special guest, I'm sorry, Katie Beecher. We're going to talk about Heal from Within, a guidebook to intuitive wellness. You mentioned your guides. Who actually are your guides? Is it a collective? Are they light workers? Who actually are they, in your opinion?
You're asking such great questions. Okay, so as far as I know, I don't know any of their names. I do know that my grandmother and grandfather on my mom's side and my mom are among them. When I see my guides, if you will, if I'm meditating or talking to them, some of what I see is this kind of a half table, like a half circle. And the front people are a Native American male chief of some sort, and two females, and then there's lines and lines of rows and rows, if you will, of people, angels, spirits, whatever, behind them that I don't see. I've not seen their faces. I don't, a lot of people ask me, like, how do you get to know them? Do you need to know their names? Do you need to, you know what I mean? And I don't really feel like it's important. It's more the information that I get and knowing that I have a team all the time and as does everyone, I'm not special, we all do, to help me make decisions and send me love and guidance and keep me safe. And so many of us are walking around not feeling safe and feeling like we have to hold on to every bit of control, and we can't ever let go and trust that things will be okay.
Do you find, Katie, that this is a gift that you can kind of turn on and off? Like when you go to the supermarket, you go to Whole Foods or whatever, you see somebody and you're like, oh no, that guy's got cancer or whatever.
I have learned that I've had to, for my own emotional and physical well-being, as well as, not crossing into boundaries, that I don't really like stepping into people's energy if they don't give me permission. I feel like that's invasive. And while I pick up things from people all the time and I get feelings about people, and, if somebody's not a good person, that flashes at me very quickly. But I've learned that I have to kind of allow the energy and the information to come in. And then I also have to be able to, like, okay, I'm done with my readings for that day, or I'm done with my things, and now I need to get back into myself, or it's very, very overwhelming and exhausting.
Do you do anything to protect yourself? God's divine white light of protection, or any type of kind of bubble of protection, or do you talk to your own personal keeper of the threshold or guardian angel, however you would refer to it, as part of your team in working with the other guides in the collective?
Absolutely, yes, yes, and yes. Um, Use a lot of white light stuff. Talking to my guides. What I learned during my recovery was something that it's one of the most important things I've ever learned, and that is once you know that energy is there, that love. It could be God, it could be whatever. Once you know it's there, it doesn't go away. It's always with you. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to worry about other people invading that space. Like, I don't feel like I can be attacked or anything like that. I used to. I big time used to. But I don't believe that anymore. And I really believe that as long as your head is in the right space, like you're a loving, good person and all that, doing your best, then we're all protected and safe. And you don't have to do anything extraordinary for that to happen.
Mhm. A lot of it seems to be, and we're just having a conversation here on Guys Radio about Katie's wonderful work. And it seems like, and some of the things I've picked up over time is that a lot of us get kind of anchored by the past and we carry things with us, and it gets in the way of our being in the now and being able to tap into things, the possibilities. Instead, we live this, if I do this, I get that. And it's a lot, it seems like people make life a lot harder than it needs to be. Of course, a lot of people have a lot of issues, and there's a lot of issues in the world, but for just on a one-on-one basis, it seems like we actually make things worse for ourselves instead of making things easier that they can be. Not that everybody has an easy life, but
Right.
there's more possibilities there for us if we learn how to allow. Is that correct, Katie?
Oh gosh, I mean, I can so relate to that, and I can be my own worst enemy like everybody else. I can see the problems in things rather than seeing what's going well, and we can all get caught up in anxiety. That's really what that is anxiety-based stuff. We can all get caught up in that, and I found that during some of the most difficult times in my life, when I stopped fighting and stopped trying to control it and make it go according to my agenda, and I just said, okay, this is the way it is. This is what I'm dealing with. Where do I go from here? Not hanging on to past crap or anything else, but just this is it. What do I need to do and take care of? What responsibility do I have to make things better? What are things I can't control? And having to accept those, and maybe instead of wanting somebody else to change or a situation to change, how do I need to change? So I think acceptance is incredibly important and incredibly freeing.
What was the how did you kind of get beyond? Because I'm sure I want to ask some of the questions that if I was listening, I would want asked. And that is, how did you get over your issue? What was the trigger that got you past your? Because if somebody's going to put their faith in you in terms of helping them, I think they need to know, well, how did you deal with your own challenge of, I guess, bulimia, right?
Yeah, certainly. Well, for one thing, I had to, for me, whatever my bottom was, I had to hit that. And for me, that was knowing I couldn't live that way anymore and deciding I was going to take my own life if I could not get better. So it was, first of all, to like feeling pain is not a bad thing. It's really motivating. So no one could have done that for me. So that was one huge thing. I was ready to get better. That was another huge thing. And finding the right person to work with, this person was very spiritual, very open to my abilities and my gifts. I felt like I could be my true self. Huge. She taught me to talk to my intuition, to talk to my symptoms, to talk to the eating disorder. I honestly believe that at the core of all recovery from everything is really connection to intuition and self-love and self-acceptance. Because if you can do that, then you know that you're worthy of healing, that you're worthy of love. I think that a lot of us get into trouble by not being our true self. And then we bury feelings. We don't act in a way that is caring for ourselves. You know, we work against ourselves and all that stuff. So that creates physical and emotional problems. And I mean, the bottom line is it was really hard work. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I've done some tough things, but the hardest part was allowing myself to love and accept myself. And that was reversing all of the crap that I had been taught, you know, as a kid. And it's a process. It wasn't, oh, one day I'm just better and I have this all together, you know. It's like all the time I still work on self-love and acceptance and self-care. And it's, I don't think it's anything that you ever get perfect at, but it's hard work.
You work with chakras a lot. For the benefit of our audience, what do people need to know about their chakras? And secondly, you work from the top down. A lot of people work from the root up to the crown, and you work from the crown down. So talk to us a little bit about chakras, what people need to know, and then your methodology in terms of why you start at the top and work your way down.
So chakras are energy centers in the body. There are 7 main ones, starting at the top of the head, going down to basically the base of the spine. And I don't work in a way, some people balance your chakras. Some people do whatever actual, like change the energy of your chakras. The way that I work with them, and the way that the reason I start at the 7th, which is the top, is it helps me to pay attention to the whole person. So each chakra has to do with a certain part of the body or certain organs or things like that. And then also emotional and spiritual characteristics. So for example, the throat chakra, which is in your throat, it has to do with the throat and the thyroid glands and neck and shoulders and stuff like that physically. But then spiritually and emotionally, it has to do with self-expression. So maybe you're pushing down your feelings, or maybe you're afraid to express your opinions, or maybe you express yourself too much. You know, things like that. Maybe you are afraid to be seen and heard. And that can cause anxiety. And so looking at all of the chakras, I feel like I can hit everything and really take a holistic perspective. Why I start at the 7th. The 7th is kind of an overview. It's looking at the spiritual journey overall. It's looking at, you know, life-threatening conditions or conditions that affect the entire body. I start with that as an overview, so my guides can start tuning in to like, what are this person's kind of major issues? Like, why did they contact me, type of thing. And then I get into more specifics.
Okay. Now let's talk about the paintings, because you do these beautiful paintings, and Katie was kind enough to do one of me, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But talk to us about how, why paintings, how you get the inspiration to do them, and then also how people can kind of do their own. I know that's a lot of stuff there.
That's okay. That's okay. So when I start a reading, I only know a person's name and age and how to contact them. That's all I know. Preferably, the more I know about someone, the more complicated it can be, because as a human, I start, you know, projecting. So ideally, I just know a name and age. And I start with the report, draw an oracle card to get me started, fill out all of the boxes, as you saw. All of those blank boxes would be filled in had you know, if we did a full reading thing. So I do that. When I'm listening to my guides, as a human, especially with words, I can interpret. That is not my job. My job is not to interpret, it's to listen. So with words, I'll give you like a quick example I always use, but I was doing a reading on a 12-year-old girl and I heard tooth enamel. As a human, you know, I would think she had a lot of cavities. So I just wrote tooth enamel because I know now just to write what my guides show me or tell me, or I see pictures, I feel things, whatever the thing is. So her mom was like, that's really weird that you said that, because she has extraordinarily strong tooth enamel and has never had a cavity. Now, what that did is it didn't point out a problem, which is great. It's not all about problems. People contact me for tons of things having nothing to do with problems. But I was showing the mom that I was tuning in to her daughter. So it was kind of an evidential type of thing. When I do the paintings, I have an art background. I used to be a professional watercolorist, but I really love symbolism and mythology and art as a way of communication. So when I start a painting, my guides tell me a color, and then they sort of start with a little image for the top, like we'll talk about yours, but it starts with sort of a foggy-ish sort of image. And instead of listening to what it means, I just do what they tell me. And then while I'm doing the reading, I will listen to my guides and we interpret the colors and the positions of the arms and where the legs are and all kinds of things, about that person. And it's, again, physical, emotional, and spiritual. So it both reinforces what's in the report and often gives me extra information too.
Now, how current do these paintings need to be? In other words, somebody has a painting done, would their painting based on their lifestyle maybe look completely different 3 years from now, or how do these change? Oh, it's just
absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
it's now, right? It's about the
really,
now.
It's now, and it also does pick up past things too, and can pick up future things too. But it's really like, maybe every week they'd be different depending on what you're dealing with in your life. So yeah, they're really fun in that way. Because I mean, we change in general, so the reports change also. But it's really like, okay, what's happening now, and what do you need to address, or what are your strengths, right now?
Mm-hmm. Here's the. Oh, go ahead. Oh
no, I was going to say, you asked about how people can do them themselves.
Yes.
I do have workshops occasionally where I teach that. But in my book, it was really important to me that I pass on what I have learned and my methods so that people can help be their own medical intuitive and learn to be authentic and find self-love and heal and all that. And my Heal from Within book. So I do have like tons and tons of tools and instructions in there about creating your own intuitive painting. It takes zero artistic ability. Making your own medical intuition chart, finding out what chakras your stuff fits into, so that you can kind of put together a complete picture of yourself and where you want to go.
When you've seen so many people, do you find that there's certain chakras that get blocked for people more than others?
It's very common to see the first, second, and third coming up with a lot of issues. I mean, we all have them everywhere, but so the first chakra is about safety and security. So if you grow up in a dysfunctional home situation, or you have trauma as a child or something like that, it's very hard to trust the world. It's hard to feel safe. It's hard to progress through that stage into the development of relationships and things, which is the second chakra. So a lot of people, even if they've worked on themselves a ton, there's often still some of that first chakra stuff that's there, and as we go through life, certain things get triggered. So there's a lot of stuff in the first three often, but we all have a combination. Like, I've never had a person who just didn't have anything to work on or any strengths in a certain chakra. Like, we all have stuff in our whole bodies.
Now, when you work with somebody, you get their name, you get their age, you do the painting, you get your kind of report. So after you meet with the person, and they may need some supplementation or whatever. How do you work with the traditional medical community, or you work strictly with alternative medicine folks, or how does that all work? And then how does the traditional medical community treat you?
Really depends on the person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have people who I have worked with for myself and others, for decades. Most of them are alternative, but if somebody, and I like to work with people that I'm familiar with, obviously, I don't want to just be like, oh, I just heard this name, So alternative people like naturopaths or integrated people or whatever tend to be more receptive, but because I have that, the therapy degree as well, that does help give me some credibility. So some people just in general, whether you're in the medical community or not, have absolutely no belief or faith in, what I do or people like me do, and that's okay. But yes, traditionally people that I have had some contact with, and what I do is give the client their information to contact them. A lot of the time they will use my report as a reference, and send that to them also. And sometimes I do end up communicating with that medical professional. Not always. I often will have people let me know, if they had testing done or treatment or whatever, let me know how that's going. What did they find? Did it confirm what was in my report? All that kind of thing. So it's, we can't do everything by ourselves. So I really welcome people who are willing to, be part of a team, if you will.
Okay, Guys Radio, my special guest, and I'm loving the conversation with Katie Beecher, MS, LPC, internationally recognized medical intuitive. The book is Heal from Within, a guidebook to intuitive wellness. Now, Katie, you work with pets?
I do. I work with animals. They're so much fun. I know nothing about horses, and they're my favorite animal. I like all animals, but it's really amazing not only how much I learn about the animal when I work with them and talk to them, I learn so much about their human. And they often will take on some of the characteristics, emotional and physical, of their human. They will tell me things like they're looking out for them. They're tuned in a way that I don't think humans can. So they tell me things that their human is working on, or ways that their human is helping or hindering them. They tell me things about where they came from, and it's really cool work. It's very fun.
We have a cat, and it seems like she's at night, she's kind of on patrol, and she'll go scampering over here or over there, and sometimes outside. And it's like the cats, do you think they have some type of, they like a spiritual kind of security force for their family, that a little different than dogs?
Yeah. All animals are definitely different. And I think cats, obviously they tend to be more aloof, not necessarily. But yeah, I think that if you go back to, so I'm very into symbolism. And if you look up the symbolism of cats, and even big cats, it talks a lot about being part of, being protective, especially over their young, and working together as a team, and watching over things. And I would have to look it up to show the exact thing. But I really do, believe in all that symbolism stuff. So it's kind of fascinating to look up the origin.
All right. Yeah. Well, it's good to know. So Katie, as I mentioned, was kind enough to do a painting for me. So she sent me the painting and a little bit of write-up. So we're going to get into that right now. Now, I know some of you folks out there are just listening to the show, whether it's on the podcast or KCAA, but also we're on YouTube and Rumble, so we can see the painting. Katie's holding it up now, but she'll describe it, and then we'll talk about the write-up. So Katie, beautiful, by the way. Thank you so much. And I got a good vibe when I saw it.
Yay. All of the paintings I do are different. Some are of human figures, some are animals, some are plants, so they're all totally different. In yours, I started with, there's kind of a fuzzy area on the top, and it's kind of a cloud of red and yellow. And I'm going to put it here and then I can move it again. So red is about, red can be about anxiety. It can be about passion. It can be, so if you think of things that are red, a stop sign is red. You know, it can be about needing to stop. It can be about intense love. And significantly, it's combined with another color here, which is yellow. So yellow is about being intuitive, having inner joy, being generous, and being a spiritual teacher. So the yellow is very strong. And what I got from this is you are a spiritual teacher in a lot of different ways, especially the radio show, right? So that red there to me is your love and intensity of the work that you do and wanting to share this important information with people. Okay. There are two purple arrows coming into that yellow and red cloud. And purple is about being spiritual and connecting with spirit and intuition. So this was you being sent intuitive information and guidance from the other side. That's those arrows. Now, when I went down into your head, which is also in red, an interesting thing happened. I like working with watercolor because it has a mind of its own. And when the red combined with the yellow, it created orange. There's a lot of orange on your painting. Orange is about being courageous and independent and adventurous. So you'll have to let me know if that applies, but that's what this is showing. And you have, there's a purple dot on your forehead. That is your third eye. And it's a pretty strong dot there. So I feel like you have a pretty good sense of intuition and reading people and things like that. And then the red in your head, red is about, in this case, I think there's some anxiety because you really want to do a good job at what you do. And so it's a little bit of, can be hard on yourself, a little perfectionism, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you used it correctly. Or yeah, just use it. Okay, so your neck is magenta. Magenta is about being your true authentic self, being creative, not caring what people think, you doing you. Significantly, it's in your neck, which is the fifth chakra. And as I talked about, that chakra is about expression. So what my guides are saying in this case is the most important thing when you express yourself is to just be yourself. You don't have to second guess it. You don't have to worry, just you be you. And doing that just creates more authenticity, which is the magenta lines coming off. Also coming off of those magenta lines on the sides of your neck are green lines. And there's other green here too, but green is about a new life and a new start and growth. So the more you're yourself, the more you grow. You have very broad shoulders in this picture. Your arms, there's very, very long arms, and then they kind of come down at your sides. So when I get someone with really broad shoulders, that's somebody who kind of has the weight of the world on their shoulders a little bit, you know, a lot of responsibility, thoughts. But orange, as I said, is about being courageous and adventurous and independent. So yeah, those responsibilities are there. Yeah, you know, it's hard sometimes, but you have the strength and the courage to deal with everything that you are doing now and have always done. You know, that it's giving yourself that credit. Blue is about being empathic and sensitive. So you're a very sensitive person. You know, you're very good at picking up other people's feelings, and it bothers you if somebody's in pain or if you hurt their feelings, or, you know, you do think about what you want to say before you say it. And so that's in your heart. And it also goes down to kind of where the gut area is. And there's a squiggly blue line in the gut. That is your ability to pick up your own and other people's feelings in your gut. So you may have gut symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
the, let's see, okay, so going down, underneath the gut is a rectangular box area.
Hold it a little higher.
Oh, sorry,
There you go. That's good. Okay.
There's a rectangular box here that has a little opening. That's your first and second chakras. So it's family, upbringing, safety, security, relationships, career, all that kind of stuff. And sex organs, hips, lower back, all again. So to me, my guides were kind of focusing me in on that. And that box to me was a sign of like stiffness, and some rigidity sometimes, the need for control sometimes, especially with your own career and your own life. Again, not a bad thing. And then the red lines, red dots on the side that I will call your hips, it's just, again, signifying some tightness, maybe some lower back stuff, SI joint stuff, that kind of thing. And to me, that the fact that it's boxed in is somewhere where you may want to address some of your energy and healing and self-love. So send love to that area, and maybe let go of any old stuff that's hanging out. Stretching to as far as the movement, but there's magenta squiggly in that red box. So to me, it's like what you need to do to heal that area is just be you. Just don't worry about what other people are doing or saying, or, especially like family stuff or whatever, just you do you. Then at the bottom, your legs are green. So legs are about moving forward in life. And it's showing you moving forward, doing the new things you want to do, with growth and spring and new stuff happening all the time. And then on the sides of your legs are purple. So it's showing you that spirit is guiding you moving forward. So that's great. So trust your intuition to move forward. There's a little bit of red. I guess it's kind of in the knee area. I don't know if there's anything that goes on with your knees.
Yeah.
So those are your little knees there. And then on the bottom is more purple and green. And that's saying the more that you can be present, and grounded and not thinking about the past or the future, the more connection to spirit you'll have, and the more you'll be able to move forward.
Fantastic. So
painting.
as Katie Beecher, the beautiful painting that she just did for me. Now, what for those out there who can't see it, what's the dimensions of the paintings you usually do?
It's around like 8.5 by 11ish, 9 by 12, I think. Watercolor on watercolor.
Well, I can tell you, first of all, thank you so much. And it's a beautiful painting, and Katie's kind enough. She's going to send it to me. So I definitely want to keep that and probably put it in a little frame, put it up somewhere. But you were correct, because I pulled my hip over the holidays, and it's still slowly but surely healing. But I'm a runner, and I haven't been able to really feel comfortable to go out and run since then. So I've been just long walks and really taking my time with it. But my left hip has been a problem area. I was running around with my son, and it just went. I was bedridden for about 3 days. It just exploded on me. And I didn't want to have any replacement or anything like that. So I had some acupuncture done, etc. But it's been an area I've had to address this year. And then with the knees, I had a little, the last time I ran a marathon, I had some meniscus issues in my left knee. So that's accurate. And I think all the other stuff is very accurate, because I had another guest on a few weeks ago when they had their collective did a reading on me. And it was basically almost identical to what you wrote to me about being authentic and being on the right path and trusting and being in the now, always in the now, and not worrying about other people, but, and in the past, and basically acknowledging the past is everything that's brought you to now. But what's important is now. So when things come up, the buts in our life that comes up, where we tell ourselves, but, the limitations, you acknowledge it and say, thank you for being there. I get it. Now you can just stay over there because I'm going this way. And so it's corroborated perfectly. So amazing work by Katie Beecher. So I'm so appreciative.
I want to share with you too, I saw some pain going down your leg or legs. And they're saying to look into doing some gentle SI joint stretching, if that's something that is okay for you to do.
Okay. SI joint stretching. What was that? Is that the hip?
Yeah, it's related to the hip.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And thank you to your guys. I'm very, very appreciative. So how often do you do these? Do you do this work? I mean, do you get burned out by doing this? Are you tired afterwards? Is the energy just flow through, or do you have to kind of, take a break?
Yeah, so I've limited myself to 6 readings a week because it gets to be a lot. Every once in a while, I'll do a little mini one or something. And especially since, I'm doing quite a few interviews and things and working on book stuff and all the great social media that comes along with, super fun stuff. So yeah, I have to limit it because I would be exhausted. I've learned to schedule people. The readings are 2 days a week now because I used to be all over the place. So I know I have those days, and then I prepare for the readings, the days before that. And I know, like, by the end of, I do my readings on Wednesday and Thursday, by the end of the day, I'm like, okay, here I am. I need to go, rest, or I exercise a lot. I'm an avid pole dancer and do aerial arts. So
Fantastic. That's tough.
Yeah,
it's not easy. You have
it's
to have
very
real
hard.
core strength for that, right? And
The
shoulders,
whole
right?
body.
Mhm.
Yep, the whole body. But I absolutely love it. And that's one of the best stress releases, I have ever known. Great for body image and all kinds of things, always advantage that I didn't think would happen. But so yeah, I know that I have to do certain things, eat healthy and get enough rest and sleep and do my vigorous exercising and all that. But there's a lot of self-care involved, and like anybody, I can get behind on that, but my guides let me know by giving me a physical symptom. It's great.
Well, I got to tell you do amazing work. You're a beautiful woman, a beautiful tattoo on your right shoulder, I guess. Yeah, really gorgeous artwork there. And you have a great glow about you, and you're just doing wonderful work for people. So I'm so appreciative of you being on the show. The work you did worked with me. Katie also does a write-up with the painting. And this was just what we shared with you today, just a kind of a mini version of what she does. It's kind of just the top layer. I want to get a sample for everybody out there. And I'm very appreciative that I don't have, it doesn't seem like I have two. It seems like the sky's the limit, which is a really good thing. So our goal is to keep growing the show and the audience, and it is growing like quantumly now, which is great.
Great.
We want to do more and more good work for people and have more and more guests like Katie on, and hopefully she'll come back. So the name of the book is Healing from Within, a guidebook to intuitive wellness. Katie Beecher, MS, LPC, internationally recognized medical intuitive. And thank you so much for being on Guys Radio. And please tell everybody where they can learn more about you and kind of work with you.
Definitely. So my website is katiebeecher.com, and it's KatieBeecher.com. So my website, I have on Instagram and Facebook and all the places you're supposed to be these days. But my website's a great place to start. So
fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Katie, for being on Guys Radio. Hope to see you again.
I would love that.
If you enjoy the guests and content I bring you each and every week on Guys Radio and TV, please help out by subscribing to my channels. Thanks for your support.